Good morning. In today's Tanya, Sunday, Chof, Zayin Kislev. We're starting now Perek Gimel in Tanya. In Perek Aleph, chapter 1, the Alter Rebbe introduced us to the Nefesh HaBahamis, to the animal soul. And the Alter Rebbe explained that every Yid has an animal soul that animates him, gives him life. All tendencies which are not Kedusha come from this animal soul. And then in chapter 2, the Alter Rebbe explained and introduced us to the Nefesh HaElikis, the godly soul. And now in Perek Gimel, he's going to elaborate on this, on the Nefesh HaElikis. So Alter Rebbe says like this: V'hinei, behold, kol pchino madrega, mishalish elu, each of these three distinctions and levels, in other words, Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, these levels of the Neshama, of Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, Klula me'eser pchinas, they consist of 10 faculties. In other words, the Neshama has 5 parts: Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chai, Yechida. And the Nefesh, the Ruach, and the Neshama, every single one of those levels of the Neshama have 10 levels, how it functions. Keneged eser sfiras alyonis shnishtalshel meihen. They correspond to the 10 sfiras alyonis, the 10 higher levels, the 10 supernal spheres, in which they originate and where they come from. In other words, Adam is Malashon Adam el Elyon. So if we want to understand what goes on Lamaila, we have to understand how we operate. And once we understand how we operate, then we can understand what goes on Lamaila. So a person has a neshama. The neshama consists of nefesh, ruach, neshama, chai, yechida. And the nefesh, ruach, and neshama, each one of those have these eser spheres, which come from eser spheres alyenis. Now, these 10 spheres, anechlekes l'shtayim, are subdivided into 2 general categories. If you want to generalize the 2 categories of the neshama, of how the neshama functions through the Eser spheres are divided into 2 categories. Shein, Shalish Imais, these 2 categories are the 3 mothers. They're called 3 mothers, Vesheva Kfules, and 7 doubles, which means to say like this: the two categories are 3 mothers, which that is the mothers, the 3 of the spheres are termed mothers. Why? Because just like a mother is the source and the root of their child, so too the 3 mothers, which are the Chachma, Bina, and Das, they are the source for the Midas, which are the emotions, are the Sheven Kfules, which are called the 7 doubles, which are the 7 divine attributes called doubles, because each of the emotional attributes manifests itself in a twofold manner, as will be explained. So you have the mothers, which is the Chabad, the Chachma, Bina, and Das, and then you have the Sheva Kfules, you have the 7 doubles, which is the children, which stem from the mother. In other words, the Chachma, Bina, and Das create the 7 emotions. And the Alter Rebbe is going to explain. Pirish, what does that mean? What does that mean? Shali Shemois v'Sheva Kfules, what does it all mean? So he says like this: Chachma, Bina, v'Das, Chachma, which is wisdom, Bina, understanding, Das, knowledge, they are called mothers. V'shivas Yimei HaBinyan, and the Sheva Kfules, the 7 doubles, are the emotional attributes known as the 7 days of creation, which are Chesed, which is kindness, Gvura, which is severity, Tiferes, which is beauty, and so on. And you have the other ones, which are Netzach. Netzach is, in English, is endurance. Hoid is splendor. Yisoid is foundation. And Malchus is royalty. So these 7 attributes are known as the Shiva Simei Binyan, the 7 days of creation. Why? Because every single day, these 7 attributes of Hashem created the world. So the first day, let's say, Hashem Chesed created that part of the world. Hashem created Chesed. Then the second day was Gvura, Tiferes, so on and so forth. So just like that works, Lemaila, v'chein b'nefesh adam. So just as you have the Eser spheres which are two general categories. You have the Chabad and you have the Midas. So too, you have in the human soul, you have the 10 faculties, which are Shenechlekas l'shtayim, which are divided into two general categories. Seichel and Midas, which are Seichel, intellect, Midas, emotional attributes. And the Alter Rebbe explains, HaSeichel Kailol, intellect includes, number one, Chachma, Bina, V'das. Chachma, Bina, and Das. Midas, Hein, and the Midas, which the Midas are, like we say, the Chesed, Gvura, they represent Abbas Hashem ufachtei v'yirasi lefarei. So the emotions represent the love of Hashem, the dread and awe of Him, the glorification of Him, and so on and so forth. So love, when you say loving, that corresponds to the kindness. And from Gvura comes the awe of Hashem, and so on and so forth. Now, v'chachma bin das nikro imois umokel midis. Chachma, Chabad, which is the intellectual faculties, are called the mothers and the source of the midas. Why? Ki ha-midas hein toldes Chachma bin das. For the midas are like children, or offsprings. They derive. They're a byproduct of Chachma bin das. The Rebbe explains Zubi or Inyan to explain this concept, to explain this idea of that Chabad leads and creates the midas. So the Alter Rebbe explains, the intellectual faculty of the rational soul, which first conceives any matter, nikra b'shem chachma. So that's given the name of wisdom. What is chachma? Chachma is composed of two words. Number one, koyach ma, which means koyach, the potential, ma of what is it. So it is the faculty concerning which one can pose the question, ma, what is it? So when a person is thinking and he's tossing and turning, doesn't know doesn't know how to solve the issue, and then he has a flashing light, and that tells you, you don't have the concepts yet clearly, but it will tell you something to go with. So that's called the chachma, the koyach ma. Now, when a person brings forth this idea to this potential into actual, when a person uses his intellect to take this seminal point in order to understand this matter in full, and to delve into it very deeply, as involves from the concept which he had conceived in his intellect. So nikra bina, this is called the level of bina, of understanding. So bina is the attribute, is the faculty which elucidates this detail of what the chachma is and expounds the chachma. The hein heim ava aim, chachma and bina are the father and the mother. Hamelidis avas Hashem yirasei ufachtei, which give birth to love of Hashem and awe and dread of Him. That is today's Tanya.